The House Oversight Committee is calling on Tim Walz to testify next month. Oversight Committee member, Congressman Andy Biggs, joins us now. Oh, well, God help the Brooks running company.
How's that for a spokesman?
Yeah, he did really. I wear glycerin, so I just got hung up on that. Apologies, Congressman. You've called Tim Walz to testify in front of Oversight. January 7th, you have your first accountability hearing on this sweeping con perpetrated on the people of Minnesota and the people of this fine nation. AG Keith Ellison also called with Walz to appear or testify February 10th. What could you possibly get out of those two clowns? And I don't mean that as an insult to actual clowns.
Well, that's fair, Dagan and Brian. What I'll tell you is what I anticipate them at some point, they're going to start rolling in the Fifth Amendment, aren't they? But the American people need to see this. But last time we had Governor Walz in and he was testifying before the oversight, he engaged. And he looked as bad then as he looked in his running outfit the other day. So what I would suggest is we're going to be looking at Minnesota, and just like the executive branch is, but we are going to actually be able to take different types of remedial action, and that's why we have to get those guys in and see if they're going to talk.
Okay, so talk about that remedial action, because I do think some people feel like, man, the problem has been documented. The issue isn't that we don't know what happened. The issue is, how do you hold guys like Walz or Ellison accountable? So what is this remedial action you're talking about?
Well, when I talk about remedial actions, what Congress should always have been doing, and that is, number one, you start taking away federal money. And we've seen that. The administration's doing that now. But Congress needs to codify that and start removing that. The second thing you do is you make sure that you have forensic, not just auditors, but you have forensic CPAs and criminal investigators going in to make sure of what they're doing. And if there's a problem there, which it looks quite obvious that there is, if there is a problem there, then what you need to do then is you're referring for criminal prosecution for the police power in the executive branch. But the third thing that you do is you actually need to start closing down these programs and putting a period of time in place where the federal government is not going to be your co-partner in fraud any longer, because it isn't, unfortunately, isn't just in Minnesota, but we're looking at right now at one program in Minnesota, and you're starting to see that it was going on in just bucketfuls of federal programs going on. And wherever you have a socialist state, you're going to have fraud. And we see that really highly in Minnesota.
We'll talk about the other fraud hotspots that the House Oversight Committee is looking into, whether it's states, large-scale programs, because I point toward Medicaid. Any program that a state can use through its own spending to siphon money away from the federal government based on the largesse of its own spending and recklessness, like Medicaid, is rife with fraud.
Yeah, so when you, so Dagan, when you're looking at states, Ohio's been alleged to be fraudulent in the daycare program. Washington State, the same. So you got those programs. But when you move to, like you say, broader social, what I call social welfare safety net programs that are huge in scope, states are skimming off the top. We're giving them money for administration, which should never happen. So let me give you an example. In my home state of Arizona, a study came out last summer claiming that Arizona could have as much as $6 billion in fraud in the Medicaid program. $6 billion in this state alone. And so we're not seeing much being done by that. And you have to get in and do a forensic accounting, and you need to hold people accountable. And that means that the executive branch, working with the legislative branch, needs to go after and recoup this money. So let's getting back to your actions that we could take. We need to get that money back. And so if you can get restitution and put the bad guys away, all of a sudden you deter this. But I would just tell you, both of you, there may be a reason to stop these socialist European-style programs that we have in America, and you're seeing it right here with Tim Walz being the cover boy of why you should stop.
Yeah, no, I'm totally with you, and I think kind of the idea of Doge initially was to try to do some of that. Of course, you know, Doge came up with what, 215 billion. It's kind of petered out now. Are you saying that this is the impetus for sort of a round two of that? Is there going to be legislation? Can you do a reconciliation bill and say we're going to chop funding for them, some of these things? How do you make that happen?
Well, you can do a reconciliation package, and that would be one way to attack it. Another way is, in my opinion, is the Senate needs to get rid of the cloture rule. If the Senate were to get rid of the cloture rule, then all of a sudden these problems would start dissipating because you would have enough votes, I believe, to actually start clearing out the underbrush that provides the kindling for fraud. And those two things really need to happen.
Congressman Andy Biggs, great to see you. Thank you, sir. We'll see you again soon.
Thank you.
Happy New Year.
Thank you.